Hello, my name is Tom Zarb, and this is my presentation on the New York State Edlaws 2D compliant. So for starters, I definitely do agree with the changes being made to the use of, cool and new websites and programs in education, and I do agree with this because after my first year of teaching, I do understand the importance of not exposing students to harmful or inappropriate pop-ups or ads on websites, along with exposing student data, because a lot of these new programs and apps in the educational system ask for student information. Hence why one of the reasons I agree with this is for the strict data privacy. A lot of these new websites don't have a lot of protection for their data. A lot of them are third-party websites where they don't understand or don't agree to signing off on the shareholders and having to control student data or leaking student data, which also connects with the required mandatory compliance of data agreements. And many app makers nowadays lack the infrastructure or the willingness to sign on to these agreements, making them non-compliant, meaning that they have total control over the student data. This also directly connects with the transparency of student data. Sometimes these apps not only face the loss of educational access, but are also potential legal consequences, which means schools need to be much more cautious in researching and reviewing these new apps or websites that are considered to be cool or new. And finally, the least intrusive data collection aspect, which means schools must choose tools that collect the bare minimum of student data needed for educational purposes. Novel or engaging apps are blocked if they collect unnecessary or personal behavioral data, which I completely agree with, hence why these changes I feel are very important in the educational world at this time. So if I were to explain to someone who has found a new or engaging application to use in their in their classroom, the first thing I would want to do is explain to them that it could be unsafe for children to use if they don't have, if the educator or the teacher doesn't have a full understanding of the application, has only used it 2-3 times, hasn't really researched the companies and the shareholders backing and all the legal documents required to making sure it is in line with the New York State Edlaw 2D, it could be very dangerous for students and children to use these apps and websites, which leads into my next point. Some of these new websites and apps, especially being in the classroom this year, can have some distracting or inappropriate ads or pop-ups on these websites or these applications, things that students should not be seeing or could be distracting them from the task at hand. These are two very important parts to my justification to telling somebody about their discovery of a new app that they could use in their classroom. Another thing I would bring up is the risk of student data leak if it is not in compliance with the New York State Edlaw. This could lead to a major issue for students, not only in the classroom, but across all classrooms in the school, where student data can get leaked, personal information, full names, days of birth. All those are very important information that needs to be contained and cannot be leaked. And if it is going through, especially these third-party websites who sometimes don't agree or don't sign off on these legal documents, these leaks could happen very often. So for the final prompt, making sure that educators know what they are doing, what they are using in the classroom. They need to be appropriately trained with the use of the site or application. They can't just go on it the night before and then implement it into the classroom. They need to go to their school district. They need to show them. They need to allow for other people to use it. And then once it is fully agreed on by the district or the school, then there should be a professional development day or multiple meetings discussing the use of this application, why it is so important, and if it is further approved by other educators in the school, that is when the training should begin of the use of it. Like I said, this should not be a website where an educator looks it up the night before and implements it into the classroom. This directly connects with ensuring student data is protected and can't be leaked. I can't stress that enough throughout this presentation, especially in this day and age where we live in a world of technology, everything is online, and we need to make sure that our students' privacy is safe at all times when using this technology. And finally, I did want to incorporate the Parents' Bill of Rights. Including them in this is crucial for them to understand that their child is not at risk of, their data being leaked, making sure that the data is protected. It's not going to be sold to another third-party website or another third-party company who is trying to get in with the use of this application or own it. Making sure that the child's records are protected. The parents have that right to view the children's records on these websites or applications. So this is my presentation, and I hope everybody enjoyed.